the ayahuasca also told me go to into celibacy, because you need to heal and you need to create and you need to keep that fire in your womb for your creation, and you are leaking the energy. And I realized how I was addicted to him through sex. This is what they do, the
Yeah.
narcissists, this they do. They will attach and take all this sexual energy, and we are giving them, and we open ourselves for them all this time. So they are like anchoring all the time. So the moment I shared that this was what the ayahuasca told me, he freaked out and he went all crazy, which was crazy to me because he never cared about sex, So I could see in that moment how what I realized that was true. He needed to hold on to me, and he knew that this is the kind of like last attachment I still had.
Hi, you're listening to On Your Terms with me, Hayley Ryan. This is the show where two people get honest about the messy reality of choosing yourself. No scripts, no performance, just real conversation about self-abandonment, boundaries, and what it actually looks like to live on your own terms. So let's get into it. So on today's episode, I've got Nika Keilani, and she is someone who has left a really bad situation and is now designing her dream life on her terms. So, Nika, you left a narcissistic relationship with only $350 and your daughter, essentially choosing homelessness in Mexico over staying in this relationship. Most people would possibly say that's insane and scary. So, what made staying more insane than leaving?
Yeah. Hi, Haley. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And yes, it was insane. The whole situation was insane, obviously, and very scary. And also, me and my daughter, she was in that moment 23, almost 23, and she was like financially depending on me because we lived in Mexico. And we also had lots of trust because we've been all working in this process for a long time. I've been with him for 9 years, and I met him when I was living in Netherlands. And it looked like, oh, finally I met my soulmate, obviously. And well, in several months, things started to go wrong with him, and he had issues. And I knew that because he had a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome.
Right.
But I thought that was something that we can handle because I loved him very much. I was super in love, and I've been doing all this healing work and spiritual work for many years. So I thought I can handle this. And after 1.5 years with him, we moved to Czech Republic, which is my home country. And it was never our plan to stay there, but we kind of got stuck. We bought a property, and I had this dream of creating like healing center there for people with all kinds of illnesses and all of that. And in that time, when we were living there, it was in the mountains, and it was secluded, and I was super isolated. And in that time, all this abusive behavior started to come up. And sometimes, like, I really had to run for my life. And it drove me, well, my daughter came to the point that she left house, that she left us, and she went to travel, and she went to live in Australia and in Portugal because she couldn't stay there anymore. And I was all alone with him, and I became so desperate because I just couldn't move forward. We had so many plans, but nothing really happened. He was just sitting at his computer, only Instagram, and doing his businesses and all kinds of things. And I was doing all things around like reconstructing the house and trying to make it work and everything. And I couldn't really move forward in my own things, in my own life. And his behavior was so destructive to me, to my soul, and to everything that I wanted to create in a life. And I am very alive and energetic and excited person, for life. And I always have these big visions. And I just couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed all the time. And every time after some attack, it would take me weeks to recover, and I would get out and then try, again, and have this hope. But this cycle was repeating itself for all these years. And after 6 years there, I was so desperate that I actually really wanted to kill myself. I thought that was the
Wow.
only way out. And I couldn't leave him because I wasn't making any money. I had no money. He had all control. Every time I got something from my parents or something, everything went to like, our in whatever we needed to buy and everything. So I never had any money for myself to leave him. And I was already letting him know, like often, like really, this is not working and I have to find a way and I need your help for it. And he was always like, yeah, don't worry. We will, I help you and I let you go. I love you so much. I let you go if that needs to happen and whatever. But it never happened, obviously. And then the COVID came and we stayed, was even more isolation. And a friend of mine told me about Mexico, and I looked into it because I had cats and it was important for me to go. If I go, I wanted to go with cats. So I was begging him, like, let's go there for at least for a while and something. And he didn't want, and every time it would be like lots of anger and all of that. And one day I was in a forest in the mountains and I found a spot where I never been, and it was so beautiful with this view all over the mountains and forests and everything. And I found that spot and I was like, okay, this is the place where I will do it, because I will die at least with this beautiful view.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't anymore. And I came crying back home, and I cried because I didn't want to die. I had my daughter, I know she has only me in this world, and I really didn't want that, but I couldn't find any other way out of this relationship, because I tried and I left a few times and I always came back. And, this kind of addiction, and every time you fall for his new promises and all of that, because you want that, you have this hope, you have this vision, and I am a loving person, I always forgive and I go back to my heart, and then there is love again and all of that. So I just wanted to live, but I couldn't anymore. And I was really, really exhausted. And that moment, that day when I came back from the forest crying, he just received a message from his really good friend that was like sister to him, who lived in Costa Rica. And she told him, hey, I'm moving to Mexico because this is like not working well here for after 25 years and all of that. And he was like, maybe there's something. And I was like, wow, there's hope. Maybe he wants to go now, And then in the next second, another message came from another friend who was in Tulum. I was like, okay, probably we should go. So I was like, in 2 weeks, everything was packed, organized, everything, and we left. We just looked the house, we looked the cars in the garage, we took the 2 cats, and we just came here. And it started like, wow, new life, again, new chance for us. He was relaxed and everything was new. I mean, we had lots of friends, like big communities here. Everything was amazing for a while, for a few months. And it started again. And he got himself involved in some crazy stuff. And I was so afraid. And I was like, no, and then my daughter came to visit, and she stayed here because she saw, and, the situation wasn't really good with him. And I felt more and more lonely. And she stayed with us, and she started to train martial arts. She went 6 hours a day, 6 hours a day. She trained all these martial arts because she was like, I need to be strong. I need to protect my mother. This is like so painful to hear after that. What was her reason, And after several months, I started to, he was like making all kinds of businesses and making money, and he promised me, okay, I will make like 10,000. I was like, 10,000 is enough. I can leave and I can live on my own. But it never worked out, obviously. That was never his intention. And at some point, I came across of the page of like this healing center here in jungle, and they offered all kinds of plant medicines and everything. And I told him, okay, let's go there. Maybe we can heal something. Maybe I hope that maybe he can heal, or at least understand that I really need his support and that we need to, separate. So we went there, and that's how I got to the medicine. I did cambo, bufo, and then ayahuasca, cacao, and all of this stuff. I did the ayahuasca many years before, but never all these other medicines. And it opened something so big for me. And it gave me such a beautiful vision of who I can be and what I can create. And all of that without him. And it gave me power. And the ayahuasca also told me, go into celibacy, because you need to heal and you need to create and you need to keep that fire in your womb for your creation, and you are leaking the energy. And I realized how I was addicted to him through sex. This is what they do, the narcissists, this they do. They will attach and take all this sexual energy, and we are giving them, and we open ourselves for them all this time. So they are like anchoring all the time. So at the moment I shared that this was what the ayahuasca told me, he freaked out and he went all crazy, which was crazy to me because he never cared about sex, So I could see in that moment what I realized that was true. He needed to hold on to me, and he knew that this is the kind of like last attachment I still had.
Yeah. So he was kind of like giving you enough hope when you sort of had lost hope to keep you sort of clinging on and staying.
Exactly.
So was it your own ayahuasca journey that then kind of gave you the realization that you needed to leave and that you were done, or did that come later?
Yeah. No, I already knew that. I felt it, and I knew that this. Obviously, I was on the verge of taking my own life before, so I knew I need to leave him. I just couldn't find the way. That was my issue. I just couldn't find the way. I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't have money. So one day, for me, the ayahuasca opened something really beautiful, and I started to, heal and go deeper, working on myself and opening myself to abundance, and became grateful for what I have, and really beautiful processes. For him, it was the other side. He started to grow his ego even more. He became the medicine man and the shaman and all, attracting all these women that he was saving and all of that. So for several months, we were living in this, and I still tried to make him either understand or, understand and let me go, and then stay friends and support each other. That was really my, I wanted that because I still believe that he can be like a good person, good for me if we are just not together. But in those months, he attacked me again, and he wanted to throw me off the balcony and everything. So, and one day, I just locked myself in a bedroom, and for the first time ever, I reached out for help to people through my Facebook. And I shared what was happening, and I was explaining, I never ask for help. I'm not this kind of person. I don't like to victimize myself, all of that, but I just don't know what to do anymore. And then somebody sent me money, a guy that I don't even know. He loved my stories, he loved my posts, and he was like, you are a bright light in this world. You need to be safe, and you need to, and I can send you this. So I got 650 Canadian dollars from this guy. And a friend actually received them to his account and gave it to me. And then I needed to use something, and I kept left for if something happens, then at least we can go to a hotel or something. And then months later, this escalation happened. And in the meantime, in April, the ayahuasca told me to go into celibacy, and it took me until September that I was actually ready to do it and ready to really fight for it. And it was a fight, actually, because he was angry at me, and he called me all kinds of things, like I was parasite, eating his food and using his shelter, and I should give it to him, and all of those crazy things. He would hold a phone over my head in the night so that I get the blue light on me and I can't sleep, and all kinds of horrible things, really, it was I was desperate in that time. So one day, out of nowhere in the evening, he got out of the bed at 12 o'clock or something. And he was like, oh, I still have my bread in the fridge. And food was the greatest issue always between us, and especially if my daughter ate something. And he found out that she ate one more slice than she was allowed to. One more slice from his piece that was already 3 days in the fridge, and he didn't care about it for 3 days. And she was hungry one day when we were not there, and she just sliced a bread. And he became so crazy in that moment, locked me out of the bedroom, told us to pack and leave in the middle of the night, which I couldn't, because I couldn't go anywhere. So I begged him, hey, then, okay, open and give me my phone so I can arrange something with friends or whatever. No, and this and that. And then he came out big eyes, crazy. And he started to reach in the bathroom on a shelf behind the towels for something. And I was like, what are you doing there? You know, all this agony and all of that. And then he pulled out the knife and he held it above my head, like, I'm going to kill you and stuff like that. And in that moment, we lived in a condo, and across the hall, our manager lived there. So she came like, hey, what's happening here? Because she heard all this screaming and all of that. And so my daughter opened for her. And at that moment, he collapsed. And it was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And my daughter even went up to him and hugged him, which was incredible. You know, she kind of like wanted to calm him and felt sorry for him that he is this, you know, that he's doing this. And the manager actually took us out of the apartment, gave us another apartment for the night, and that was it. And I knew we cannot go back anymore. Like, I could see in his eyes, if I stayed, he will kill me one day. He was getting crazier and crazier. And I think partly also because, you know, using the medicine in the wrong way and becoming this guru and whatever he thinks that he is. And so next day he agreed to sleep somewhere else, and we were given 2 days to find a place to stay. And that was like, I just didn't know where we go. I had $350 and my daughter, and I had nothing. And I was lying on the couch one afternoon and like crying, and then a friend sent me a message, and she was like, I'm looking for somebody who can come in my house to do house sitting for a few days for my puppies, and I also want to pay for it. And if you know somebody, well, I messaged her immediately, like voice message back, and I cried, and I was like, please, please, please let me be this person, because this is happening here. And she was like, oh my God, take your stuff and come here immediately. So we left there, we went there. She let us stay there almost for 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, we were able, with help of other friends and all of that, to make little money here and little money there. You know, my friends that have restaurant, they organized vegan market. They said, okay, bake some cakes or whatever, and you can stay here and sell it. You know, everybody who I knew came, and we sold out everything within an hour. You know, so we were like, for 2 weeks, we were making little money like here and there and looking for a new place. And then my former neighbors, family, a Mexican family, they said, okay, if you need a place, you can also stay with us. We will give you food and everything. So during the Christmas holidays, they gave us the bedroom of their daughters. They didn't even have beds. They just slept on the mattresses on the ground. And they gave us this bedroom and fed us for, you know, during Christmas and everything.
Wow.
And then we were looking for the apartment, but, you know, we live in Playa del Carmen and prices are quite high here for rent and everything. So we were prepared that we will find like some tiny dark studio somewhere, you know, with money that we got together. And then in one moment, my daughter came and went, oh, look, I found something. And it was just 2 minutes online. And we went to see it. And it was such a cute, cozy apartment, like one block from the beach where we always go. And we couldn't believe, like, you know, this is happening. And we could exactly pay for the apartment, for the deposit, and for the food for 1 week. And then we were left with like 5,500 pesos or something.
That's amazing.
You know, so this was the beginning of this journey, like this. And the whole time, we had such a trust that we are guided. You know, we work a lot with the goddess Kali from Hindu. I don't know if you know about it.
Yeah.
And she has lots of emanations, and we have these cards. So we are always looking at these cards, which goddess is guiding us and which force is there for us to work with. And the night that we left him, we were in a bed, and my daughter helped me, and she was like, you are not going back to him anymore. I'm like, no, I'm not. And we knew, and we were like, okay, this is Chamunda. This is, you know, the goddess that cuts the demons' heads and destroys the demons. And we knew that we are being supported divinely on this journey, because it was unbearable, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously you mentioned a few times that the reason you stayed was because you had no money and money was a problem. But the minute you kind of made that decision, you were in the same boat that you had been in those multiple years before. Does that sort of ever play on your mind as to whether this was the right time because you had that friend network around that would be able to step in and sort of help you get back on your feet, or do you sort of regret not going for it earlier and hoping that that network would have stepped in then?
Yeah, honestly, I believe that this was the perfect time for me because of the network. And
Yeah.
indeed, I had community. I've created community here. We had like every week on Wednesdays, we had Loving Beings breakfast. I created that. We had like 30 people coming for breakfast. I made lots of friends here. And I know that that was partially what gave me the strength, that I had this help, that I had the sisters here, like friends, girlfriends that understood, that told me, Nika, you need to shine a light on this, and this cannot stay quiet, and you need this and that, and it helped me. The other thing is, obviously I got so much inspiration and like clear vision of my future through the medicine that I didn't have before, because before every time my life was like, okay, and now what, like what do I do? Or I was with my parents, or I was with a friend, and another friend the next time, and I was like, okay, but now what? I didn't have vision of what to do further and how to create my life. And now I had the vision. I had the vision that I need to start the retreats that, we received together with my daughter. We went to the ceremonies always together. We did many in that time. And we had this opportunity because I shared with our shaman and his wife what happened. And they were like, okay, you can come, just help us, bring some people if you want, and you can come for free, which gave us this incredible opportunity. And the life became so magical. And I was always like, how is this even possible that I can have this? Like, I come from there, I come from that, and now I have this. Now I am this person, and I can help in ceremonies. And I was so grateful and so humble and so grateful for every time we made new friends in the ceremony, or when the team, and another member of the team like kind of accepted us as part of the family, and we grew into that. And at that time, I started to lose all the friends that helped me before, which is also very interesting because you see that very often when you make the shift, then a lot of people disappear. And crazily, a lot of them really chose to stay friends with my ex because, he sells whatever he sells to
So
them.
how did that make you feel then? Because obviously
Oh, wow.
these people were there for you when you needed them most, and
Yeah,
then for them
I
to
couldn't
know what
understand.
you went through and choose him.
Yes, I couldn't understand, especially women not. And on one hand, I couldn't understand. On the other hand, yes, because I knew what he does and how he is and how charming he can be. And he can so beautifully victimize himself, but in a way like, oh yeah, I have to let her go. She needs to be free to create all her own thing, and I will always support her. But in the background, he didn't support me. He didn't really, didn't really help me, and made my life still a little bit difficult in many ways, even after the breakup.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it's very difficult if you don't live with a narcissist. It's almost impossible to understand, to know who they really are. That's the thing. So that's why I understand, okay, my some of my friends chose him, and also most of those people, they don't have anything with the medicine, or they don't even like it, or they hate it, or whatever. So they have these judgments around it. And when I started to do a lot, and I started to like bloom, and I lost all this weight, and it was incredible, and we were part of some beautiful family. Yeah, I understood that was kind of confronting for them as well, triggering, because their life stayed same. In the moment that I was in the misery, I was on the same level, and then when I came out of it, there was this disbalance. For them, and when I look back now, for 3 years and little over 3 years, I look back, and they still live the same life. They are still the same persons. They are still doing the same things every day. They
Yeah.
didn't create anything. They didn't change anything. They don't have more income. They don't have partners, whatever it is they didn't have then, they still don't have it. And I have it kind of all in their eyes. So I understand, and I'm not like saying this from my ego, like, oh, I have it all now. But I mean, I want to inspire people that are in a position where they don't know, they can't find the way out. And I want to share that there is the way out, but I couldn't find it either until I was forced to. I was forced to be so radical, to choose myself, my life, and my everything, and say, okay, whatever. We said with my daughter, even if we can't eat, we know we can survive without food for a month if it's necessary. It's still better than be with him. This was truly our, way of thinking in that time.
Yeah. So essentially you were forced to choose yourself, but then you kept choosing yourself, because it would have been so easy for you to just go back to him like you had done in the past, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So how has that been since? Like, has there been moments where you have kind of regretted your choice to stay away, and you've wondered what life would have been like if you'd gone back, or are things just going so well now?
Absolutely not. Even we had like a really hard time for 9 months. We were barely surviving. Like, I didn't know how I will make next month's rent, like we really had to save on everything. Like, we couldn't even go to laundry service. I would wash the towels in a shower. And I had a cat was really, really sick. So he had lots of diarrhea. So I had to clean all the time, wash my bed, like sheets, everything all this time. And I couldn't even, pay for his medication. But the crazy thing was, the moment I left my ex, he started to heal. It started to get less and less, and he started to eat and everything. And he actually healed within months. So we couldn't afford anything. So we ate for months, we ate just potatoes, tomato, avocado for the dinner, and some fruits during the day, and sometimes a little bit extra here and there. So we were like really, really living in a scarcity and fear. I had lots of fear that I had this responsibility for her and for myself, but mostly for my daughter, and like seeing her, like how grateful she was when we bought a tea, that we can make a tea, and this kind of little things that you never even think about. And it was very heavy for me as mother that I cannot provide so much for her. And she was so supportive. She was, holding me all the time when I broke down, and she was encouraging me and talking to me like, just trust and everything. So this support of her and the trust that I had in my vision that I received from the medicine and the work that we started to do, that gave me this power to not even want to go back. But also, I was so disgusted. I made such a shift in myself. I was so disgusted in who he is, and I couldn't understand how I stayed with him for such a long time. That was the difference before, difference from the times before. When I left him, I would only miss him, and I would want to, reconcile and have this beautiful relationship again, and hopefully he now understands. Now I was just disgusted. And the moment we were packing our stuff, and there was a moment we said something to each other, and I just collapsed, and I cried and cried, and I was so shocked. And it was like I awakened in that moment. Like, for the first time, I saw what we've been living so clearly, and I couldn't understand. I was like, me, I am so smart. I'm so intelligent. I'm so wise. I know everything. I've done such a deep research on what narcissism is and all of this, and how to free yourself and everything. And still I couldn't get away. And I felt so guilty that I did this to my daughter, and he was also abusive to her, and a lot. So this guilt I'm still carrying with myself. It's less now because, she healed a lot, and we talk about it, and we really support each other. But sometimes it comes up, and
but like, what you also showed her was a really resilient woman, and that's clearly had an impact on the woman that she's become as well. Because you say yourself, she came out to Mexico, she stayed there, and you later found out she was there to protect you. And had she not been there, maybe things would have been very different, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't have made the choice that you did to choose yourself. But
It's very probable, yeah, that I would choose the kind of the easier way, because it's sometimes it's not because it's easier, but it's familiar,
yeah,
and not knowing where you are going, and especially if you are alone in it, yeah, it's very hard path,
yeah,
and
and
I
it's
understand why so many women can't choose that, because you don't have the vision of who are you becoming and what are you going to create.
yeah,
And
and
now,
it's that thing, isn't it? When you're in the middle of it and you're the one that's experiencing it, it's very, very different to what it looks like to the outside world. And
yeah,
it's easy to sort of look at people in your position and say, oh well, if I was in that position, I would have left years ago,
yeah,
or it's so easy to judge that. But when you're in it, it's kind of like you're just clinging on to hope, because you've
yeah,
been in this situation for so long, and you've kept choosing this situation, and you're just kind of clinging on to the faith that
yeah,
you didn't make the
exactly.
wrong choices and that you didn't make these mistakes, and at some point the
Yeah.
struggle will be worth it.
Exactly. And also biologically, you really become addicted to this whole cycle also, because every time that there is this reward, that he starts to treat you well, and that he is becoming carrying himself as he is the gentleman who is taking care of you. And the moment you relax, bam, there it is again.
Yeah,
This dynamic is horrible, horrible. And when we left, and I already was speaking to my daughter for a while about, like, I always, many years ago already in Netherlands, I always wanted to hold retreats. And so we started to talk about it, and she was like, yeah, you need to make a web page. I was like, I need to make a web page. My friends were like, oh, you can make your web page on your own and just do this and that. And every time I looked at it, I would just got so overwhelmed with the choices and the templates and all of that. And I just so bad with technology. And I would just start to cry. And then one day my daughter said, okay, look at this, what I made. What do you think about it? And in the meantime, behind my back, she prepared kind of template for a website with like C, and all of that. I'm like, oh my God, wow. And I cried. So the moment we left him, imagine, I didn't even know that Canva existed. So my friend that let us stay with her, she said, okay, here you have, you can use my Canva. She had Canva Pro, and she said, okay, use it. So we started to create our webpage for the retreats, and I wrote the art, the text for it and everything. And we learned, and all of the help came, other friends that had some experiences with the building page, and somebody who wanted to edit it for us, like the language and all of that. So we had all this help, and we created our first page, and we were so proud of it. And it was
wow.
so bad and so horrible. And my daughter had this old Mac, was it a Mac? And it didn't really charge anymore. She had to like put it around things, and put the cable, like make it not move the whole day. And she would stay there 8 hours a day. Like, it was super slow, and it
Oh
was not
wow.
working well. And she was so devoted and dedicated to it. So she was making the page. I was making all the graphic things and pictures and text and all of that. And we put it together. And when it was done, and that kept us also, like, the focus on, this is what we want to do. And in one ceremony together, we both received this vision to hold these women circles, women retreats, and we called it Sacred Sisterhood, because we also realized how important it is. And it can be really difference between life and death almost. If you have sisters, if you have circle of women that love you and support you and want the best for you,
Yeah,
and it was our vision to help women to come from wherever they are, whatever situation, and to go through this transformation and this healing. And I have collected so much knowledge and practices through my life. I have so much to share.
yeah,
And also, we wanted to involve the medicine, for people that are open to it, because we saw what it does for us. like, cleanse your body with kambo, meet God with bufo, and then the ayahuasca can unravel and open you to your purpose and guide you through everything. And she guided us so beautifully with so many symbols and things and inspired us. So then I started to cook meals for the friends that were coming to ceremony with us to be prepared well, like with no salt, no sugar, no oils and that. And then Manila said, my daughter Manila, she said, oh, you should write a book about it. So this came and I started to write a book and a kind of guide for people that want to work with ayahuasca, because there's no one, good information where you find how to prepare, what to eat, what not to eat, why, and all of that. So I created this book. And so this is how the medicine was guiding us, showing us where, when we went to see the apartment that we found, there was a big painting of Macau across the hall of the apartment. And Macau is one of the symbols of ayahuasca. And then we came inside and there were 3 little glass colibris, hummingbirds, hanging in the door of the terrace. And my daughter saw 3 little hummingbirds in the ceremony before.
Wow.
So we like, this is the place where we should live, and
that's amazing.
Beautiful. And it was cheap and we couldn't understand because it was 2-bedroom. We could see the ocean and it was cheap. We could pay it, So we trusted so much in this journey that there was no way I would ever even think about going back to him, even when it got hard. Even when I didn't have money to buy water anymore sometimes, and I would cry on the street and my daughter would hold me and she was like, no, don't worry, it will be good and everything. And I still needed 4,000 pesos for the rent in 2 days. And then the same day I got opportunity to make exactly 4,000 pesos,
I love how the universe provides when you need it most.
It's true. And this time, that was actually, I think, the one of the greatest healing parts of this journey was that I healed my relationship with the masculine, with the divine masculine. And I started to, because always I was working with the goddess and everything. And then I started to realize I have really bad relationship with masculine. Started when I was a child and my father abandoned me or whatever. And I didn't trust him. How could I trust that he will provide? How can I trust my inner masculine that I can do what's needed, what it takes? So I would work so much on this relationship and talk and beg for forgiveness and forgiving the masculine, the collective and everything. And it's also important to understand that we all just want love and be loved.
Yeah.
And however we behave is kind of distortions in our vibration. It's not really us. You know what I mean? Not really us. And it's very difficult to forgive my ex. I still didn't get to that point, really, because I still rather, would do something.
Sometimes you can. It's hard to forgive people because forgiving them kind of makes it feel like you're sort of accepting what they did. And I think as long as you can heal from what they did to you, so it's still a part of your life, but not something that is imprinted on you and affecting your decisions going forward. I think that's about as much forgiveness as some people deserve.
Exactly. And, I really, because I'm like so spiritual and everything, and I was always I really believed like I need to forgive. I know it helps. I know it helps you to heal even from physical, issues, whatever. And I was like kind of forcing myself, but it doesn't work like that. So I accepted at some point, like, okay, it's okay to hate him for now, whatever happens. And I'm just disgusted by him and that's it. And I don't have to have him in my life, which is perfect. And, sometimes I'm like confronted with, okay, he still lives here and he still influences some people and whatever. But I was able to like really disconnect from that last year, which was really, I think for most of people, very hard year, because all these things started to come up. things that you thought that you don't have anymore, even, breaking
Yeah.
of illusions and all traumas coming up. And I was sometimes like, wow, I didn't even know that I still have this,
Yeah.
crying about little things with my husband. Like, I got married in August 2024, and I have such a safe, beautiful, safe space to go through all of these things. And he understands because he knows my ex. And it's incredible how often little programmings come out, like almost daily.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
things. Like, I was crying in a store when I wanted to buy bananas, and I felt guilty that I want to use 4 bananas in a smoothie. So I told him that I need 3. And I was like, what the fuck? What am I doing? I actually need 4. And I was like, okay, just get more, doesn't matter. And I started to cry because I realized, the programming and
Yeah.
how fucked up I still am sometimes. Sorry for my
No.
English. How fucked up sometimes I'm still in my mind, how you don't even realize how deep it goes. The tiny little programmings that you really need to be so self-aware of how you think
Yeah.
and be willing to really look at it. Then you can heal. Then you can,
Yeah.
understand the ways when you are manipulating, when you are lying to yourself, to other people, whatever. We are doing it out of fear, obviously,
Yeah. I get
because
that. I get
it
that
was
all the
punished
time.
before. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was punished before. So many things were punished. So speaking up, and like my husband was really teaching me to trust him enough to say what I feel, what I need, what I want, and without the fear that there will be some drama
Yeah.
after that. And this kind of things, they really take time. And I am a very aware person, so I think sometimes about women that don't have this ability yet awakened, because we have
Yeah.
it all in ourselves, but we are so focused on outside world, on our chores and family life, whatever. We don't even have that time to sit and go inside and really listen to our thoughts. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to do these retreats and to open this space where we really address this kind of things, how people are thinking. Why? Because, for example, I had this beautiful, gorgeous woman coming for private retreat, and the first time I told her, you deserve love, she started to like, no, I don't know. No, I don't know about that. No, I don't think so. And she was like, so, hard for herself. And after one
Yeah.
week, when she was leaving home and giving us testimonial, she was crying and she was like, I really deserve love. We all deserve love.
We all
And it
do.
was so
Yeah.
beautiful to see,
So
because the things that we need to address, our mind.
yeah. So do you find it difficult at times then doing what you're doing now? Because it sounds like some of the people that you're working with are going to be sort of like mirrors of where you were sort of however many years ago. So
Yeah.
how does that sort of work with what you're doing and how you feel?
Uh, I'm always like super nervous if I offer enough. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, oh my God, can I help this person? And then I have to, again, relax and trust that, the person come to me for a reason, and I am guided to open space in the way they need it. So I do realize when things come up how I was like that, or in many things I still am. And
Yeah.
I studied Ho'oponopono many years ago. That's a Hawaiian philosophy, and that actually, in basics, it teaches you that you create your own reality, and that everything that comes is your mirror. So it's your responsibility. So this is how I look at everything in my life, every person and everything.
Yeah.
And I believe that if somebody is coming to me with something, they are showing me how I still have it in me, and I can also still do something with that. And sometimes it's just becoming aware of it and realizing and be like, oh, okay, I don't need to this anymore. I
Yeah,
can
that's a
now.
beautiful gift to have, awareness. It
Yeah,
makes things so much easier.
it's beautiful, but also sometimes it's a hell,
Yeah.
because there is no rest. There is always something, something happening, something going on in you, and something that you need to look on and analyze and all of that. So yeah, when you like truly awaken to all of these things, it can be very hard, but also it gives you this opportunity to choose every time, choose again and again. And I still fight my fights with myself. Like, for example, last year, a lot of things happened in the family, in our community, and all of that. And it was really hard. We almost gave up on our business as well, like our retreats and things that we wanted to create. And it was so hard. And I was just so stressed, and I gained a lot of weight again. And I became so ashamed of myself again. So now I'm in this, fight. Like, how is it, why did I create this again? What is it, what am I protecting myself from again, and all of that. And in that same time, I started to break free and try to become more visible, on my social media. I didn't do much with it. And now I really see, okay, I need to do it. I hired business coach to help me, and I get some amazing breakthroughs. And I realized how I never chose myself. I never put myself first. I was always running around him and making sure that there is peace as much as possible, because otherwise my life was in danger.
Yeah. So how do you reconcile that version of yourself with the woman you are now? This woman who's running luxury retreats in Tulum with, like, who's co-founded a business with her daughter and who's happily married.
Yeah. Well, I feel so sorry for the woman that I was before, and I just really hope that I can make her proud.
I think you already have.
Yeah. I don't know. I still feel like failure often, a lot of times, because I don't have it all together, and it's a difficult time also to fill your retreats, so we are not that successful in this way, but we still hold on to that vision because we trust that what we want to create is something so beautiful and powerful. And last year I found so much anger in myself that I distanced myself from everything and everyone a lot. And now we are coming back to, to really do this again.
I think that fear of failure is normal, though. And I think, in a way, the way I try to look at it is failure isn't a bad thing, because it gives you information. It tells you what's not working, so you can then go and do something different, try to pivot in some sort of way. And I think, I know obviously you've said you feel a lot of guilt and shame around what you've been through, but in some ways it's kind of like a blessing in disguise, because it's put you in a situation where you are fully qualified to do what you're doing, and you're fully qualified to help people that are in the same position as you. And you wouldn't have that if you hadn't have been through what you went through and made the decisions that you did.
For sure. This was like, I always called it like boot camp. I learned so much. I am really like expert in so many things because of this. And well, for one, a narcissist, I smell him from a mile, so nobody can ever come into my field. And if they come, they will be removed very quickly. That has this in them. But that's kind of fun thing, but mostly it's that I have, through all the things that I've been through, but also how I worked on myself, what I learned, and the openness to receive the truth, the true wisdom, true universal divine wisdom, this openness and understanding what a grace it is to live a life where you can serve divine, where you can serve love, and I really trust that this is something that will bring people on my path that can benefit from what I have to share, and I've been hiding. I didn't want to be visible because I was scared. I was afraid of judgment, and I didn't trust myself in this way. I trust myself and trust my abilities, but I it's about the appearance and how do you sound and all of that. I was always thinking, oh, people will find me stupid or whatever, you know, and it's a long programming from my childhood also. So I was also like fighting and healing this part of myself. And so I started to learn how to use Instagram and become more visible, and and now finally I have inspiration how to do things, and all of that. In that moment they shut down my Facebook. The moment that I realized, like, okay, I'm going out and I start to do this and I will record some videos, the Facebook was disabled,
Oh
like,
no.
so angry. So okay, I focus now on Instagram then, and I will see. But yeah, I am now in the space where I am so grateful that all these things that I can share it, and I just write everything. I write my story. I realized I learned something from somebody, and they said everybody has a story, and this story can help other people.
Definitely.
And I went through this whole process last year, and at some point I came, I was doing some meditation or something, and there was so much rage that came out of me about my ex. Like, my husband came, he saw me crying, and I was screaming into pillow, and he just held me, and I cried, and I, shouted out all these ugly words and all of that, and it came so much came free, and that was like probably the last, chain I still had on my pole. And from that moment, all things started to open and the inspiration started to come again and all of that. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to share this story now, because I didn't want that before. I was like, I don't want to sound like a victim. I am not a person that victimizes themselves, but also I am a victim. I have to acknowledge that part of myself as well, So the moment that I decided, okay, I start to share this story, and I started to write little things, and I actually want to write a book somewhere in the future. So I wrote already a part of it, and I read it, and I cried and cried. You know what happened? 2 days later, my daughter came, and on a Facebook group here in Playa, they started to share about my ex, what a predator he is, and what this and that, and how he is dating many women at one moment and being engaged, and I don't know what, and bringing women into his house to offer them medicine and all of this crazy stuff. Oh my God. And I just sat here and I cried and cried. I was like, oh my God, finally, the truth is coming out. Finally, other people can see it.
Yeah. And how's that sort of helped you move forward? Because obviously the breakdown with your husband and all this anger you were holding in, that's obviously stuff that you were holding on to and not ready to let go of until you were.
Yeah.
But how's this affecting you now with all this stuff coming out about him and people finally seeing him for the person that you knew he was all along?
Yeah, I was just grateful. I was so grateful. I was like, because you feel so alone in your knowing, because I know it, my daughter knows it, my husband knows it, and some people that really love me know it, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, he's horrible. But that's it, they don't understand, they don't feel that what really is happening, or how disgusting he can be or whatever. And now that other people are seeing it, I felt like I am not lonely in it. And the moment I am ready to share that story, the truth is coming out. I don't even need to tell people anything about him. I don't do that much, I wouldn't go to girls and warn them like, hey, watch out because then you are always the crazy ex. So just stay out of it, and the universe always finds the way somehow in the right moment. And I think it's because I was ready. I was ready to let that out. Yeah. And that gives me confidence, more confidence, like more kind of liberation of some part of myself, the part that wasn't believed. Yeah.
And I think going back to what you said about being like, you not wanting to be the victim as well. I think that's something a lot of us have trouble reconciling with, because we see it as like, you're either a victim or you're not a victim, and we don't tend to realize, especially when we're going through or we've been through something like that you can be a victim and you can be this brave, courageous warrior at the same time. They can stand together and exist in the same space.
Yes, exactly. I think we have to realize that yes, things happen to us sometimes, and maybe these things happen because of karma, if you believe in that, or maybe they happen because of your childhood patterns. It's more
Mm-hmm.
my I believe more
Same.
in this kind of things. What we
Yeah.
bring from other lives, how we are, the vibration that we are born with, and how
Yeah.
we evolve in our surrounding. That creates, because what we believe in ourselves
Yeah.
is what creates our reality. And I attracted him because I had so many childhood wounds still. During this relationship, I healed all of them, because every time he disrespected me or something, I would go inside and I would look, where is this coming from? And sometimes I was like, no, it's not my parents. No, they didn't do it. He does it, but and then, oh, no, no, it's in me. Okay, it is in me. So that doesn't mean that I say, oh, I'm so grateful that all happened, because I believe you can also heal in like beautiful environment with
Yeah.
safety and love and being held. This is what is my experience now with my husband, and I see that it works as well. So I don't believe that you have to be with a narcissist to heal your childhood wounds, but for me it worked, because the moment that I received the message from the medicine, you healed your last and your core wound, your mother's wound, the
Yeah.
rejection of your mother, that moment, actually the escalation happened and the relationship truly broke up. So that was something also very powerful for me, because I could see these patterns and all of it in his behavior in my childhood, in my parents, and all of these things, and I could heal that. So
Wow.
in this way it helped, but no, I wouldn't do it again.
No. No, I don't blame you. It sounds like a lot to have gone through, and
Yeah, it was.
it
And
shows how resilient you are, that you're here and able to talk about it and trying to use that to make other people's lives nicer and easier and safer.
yeah, because it's for me, I realize I really seen some bad darkness during my ayahuasca ceremonies. She really showed me, she was really teaching me things, I never had like a lot of people go there and they are working on their traumas or whatever, processing and purging. I didn't even purge for 2 years. I actually purged first time when my husband came in my life, but I didn't have that. I had beautiful journeys, but she was teaching me, she was showing me how this world works, how the darkness in the world works, how it influences people. She showed me the worst, the worst of humanity, what they are doing, and how they can't free themselves from it, how they are already kind of lost souls, this kind of people that go in such a darkness. And so I understood so much. I learned so much about how these things work. That's why I really believe that we all just want love, but we get so infested with all these parasitic energies, we don't know that. And it's
Yeah.
very hard fight. It's a battle, and it's a very hard battle. And you need to have people around you that are willing to sit with you and offer you love and compassion while you are doing this, because doing it on your own is hard. And I've been doing this on my own with my daughter, with the medicine, and still was really hard for me. So if I imagine a regular woman that is not even, like so aware of these things, or that, it's just what you see on the surface and you don't understand the depth of it, it's very hard to fight it. But
Yeah.
when you have somebody who understands, that's why I want to do this work, and I believe that this whole journey was about me becoming this person to sit
Yeah.
here and to hold a circle or a person in my arms and tell them the truth of who they are, that they are love and that they are light and that they do deserve the beautiful life. And no matter how much fuck ups you have made in your past, you didn't know
Mm.
better. I didn't know better when I met him. I thought he's incredible. And then I looked up to him and I thought he was super smart and I learned so much from him. And after 9 years, I thought, what a stupid, fucking, disgusting idiot this guy is. How could I
That's
even be with him?
that's
You know?
narcissists though, isn't it? They have
Yeah.
this way of just
Yeah.
convincing you that
Because
their whole world. And
they mirror what you have in you,
yeah,
but in you it's true, it's real, it's divine, and in them is a facade, is a mask, is a
yeah,
this shining golden paper that they are putting over themselves, and then when you open it, there is nothing, it's darkness.
yeah,
And still I understand he can't do anything about it, because I looked in his eyes and I saw this evil. And I was fighting it. I did even an exorcism on him one time, and he collapsed. Yeah, because he attacked me, and then I was like, "Rah," and all this rage came up, and I felt this Kali power, and I'm like, you are not
wow,
going to do this to me anymore. And I have what? And I opened the water faucet, and I poured water on him, and I put on the gas and the fire, and I was like, I have the fire, I have all these elements, I have the air, I have this and that, and all over him. And then he was just, oh, and he collapsed. And I had to pull him into the bathroom. He's like 2 meters, imagine. And I pulled him into the bathroom, put him in a shower, put water over him, and sang loving songs that I didn't even know what it was. It was coming through me, loving songs of Divine Mother that was inviting her son to come back home, because we are so
amazing.
lost in this world. We are so
Yeah,
lost, and we are so this kind of darkness, this energy that is existing here. We cannot deny its existence. We can see it all around us, but it's so difficult to deal with it that we rather prefer that we pretend that it's not there, and like, oh, just focus on the positive. No, you have to see, you have to know what's happening, and then you can free yourself from it. Because if you don't know it, you can't do anything about it. If you don't know it, that you have something in yourself, you can't do anything about it. If you don't realize that maybe to be loved, you manipulate people, you will always manipulate them, but it will never give you the satisfaction of being truly loved. The moment that you
because
realize,
then
hey,
nobody's ever in love with you. They're in love with who you're
exactly,
pretending to be.
exactly. So when you realize that, yeah, it's fucking hard, because you're ashamed of it. You realize, oh, fuck, this is me. This is what I've been doing my whole life, for example, example. But then you can say, okay, I don't want this. This was one a big part of my healing journey when I was with him, was like, I really want to be, I don't want to manipulate. I don't want to be this kind of woman or whatever, I want to be straight out. And I started to realize everything depends on our intention. We have to understand what is our deepest intention in every situation. And if we are willing to look at that, then we start to remove things. Oh my God, now my intention was to get something from this situation. What if I don't do this like that? What happens then? And we can really reprogram ourselves, change behavior. And then we start to open, the love flows through us, and we start to open, and we start to be magnetic to other people that be like, wow, there's something about this person. I want to know what it is. I want to be like this. And you are inspiration. And you can share your wisdom, and you can help people to understand, okay, I'm in this situation, but I can get out of it. How do I get out of it? There's so many ways.
So on that note then, if you obviously imagine other people in the same position that you were in, what would you say to them? Like, what do you wish somebody had said to you when you were going through it and terrified? And
yeah. So first, have the knowledge about what you are going through. Like, really have the knowledge about what narcissism is, and learn as much as you can about how to respond, and really, like, always make sure you are safe. Whatever is happening, you better be safe than right. You can want to be right in the situation, but make sure that you are safe. Make sure that you collect as many friends and trusted people that you can. Create community, share with people, because what happens, this energy can exist only in darkness. So if you are ashamed of what you are going through, which many women are, because it's also part of the programming, is like, don't talk about it, because it's you are the one who is doing it. Break through that shame, do whatever you can do to release that shame, and talk to people, and you will find that the first person that you share this with will be on your side. Don't ask them to support you, not to judge you, not to criticize, not offering whatever solutions because they cannot give them to you. But make sure that you have people that know what you are going through and that you can always rely on and share. Make sure you find a way to create some financial, backup, if that's possible. There are things probably online that you can do. Maybe, some people are really controlled, some are not. So if you are not the one that is controlled, don't rely on him and don't believe, this time it will be better. Maybe it will be, but it's still nice to have a backup then, even if you don't need it, like really be prepared. Prepare yourself for everything. Everything can happen and it can switch from one moment to another, and it depends on the person. Like my ex was really, in 1 second I could say something and out of nowhere there was this huge drama. Sometimes it's more subtle, but it's good to be prepared because you never know what happens next. So have the information, have the knowledge, talk with people, create, but really people that will not tell him, oh, she told us this and that. I made this mistake to tell somebody something and they ran to him, oh, Nika is talking about you, that you did this and that. And his response was, yeah, but they know they shouldn't touch my food. Yeah, obviously you are right. Yeah, what the fuck,
Yeah.
So make sure that you have people that are on your side, that understand you, create something with finances, savings, whatever. Maybe people go, instead of paying cash, paying with a card in a store, take out cash, pay with cash and save a little bit, every time. Even if it's just to buy a bus ticket to somewhere or whatever,
Yeah.
and connect with people online that understand this kind of situations, find a Facebook group for women that been through like this kind of things or whatever, because I didn't even realize how big this issue is. And a few weeks ago, I responded to some post of a guy that was sharing something about narcissism, and I wrote there, and I saw the responsive thousands of women who were saying similar things that I had been through. Like, I left with nothing. I slept in the dirt. I left with my dog and lived in a car. I left with my child. We were homeless. Things like that. People, you can't accept this anymore. And you are not doing it just for yourself. You are doing it for all the women that can't do it, because every woman that takes that step changes the collective vibration and changes the collective, consciousness. And it will empower another woman maybe on the other side of the world. And that's why we are doing it, because we are sisters.
Would you say then that choosing uncertainty when you've got no idea where the money's going to come from, where you're going to live, anything like, is always the better price to pay rather than staying? So think things, just you're better off getting out of that situation and opening yourself up to the opportunities that are afforded to you, rather than staying in that situation that keeps you small. And
I think it's difficult to say it like this because every situation is different. For me, it worked, but I was ready to fully trust and surrender myself to that journey. If you are not, and you will be immediately like, oh no, panic, and I can't survive like this, and so you will still go back probably, or you will have other maybe other abusive situations. Somebody comes help you, and then they abuse you or whatever. So you need to be ready for that part. So I think it's better to, if you are not this resilient or this decisive for doing this or taking that step, or if the life doesn't push you in that direction so forcefully like it did to us, prepare yourself and leave then. I think it's always better. Like, it makes no sense to stay. The person will never change. Never.
Yeah. So try and have a plan basically before you leave, but plan to leave if you can.
Yeah. And crazy is, a lot of women that are in this kind of situation do have money, do have jobs, so they can leave, but this is what I said, this is this addiction. So if it's possible, try to break that. break those patterns of your self and understand he's not going to change. Am I willing to live like this for the rest of my life? What am I showing to my children? What am I showing to my daughter, for example? Is this what I want for her? Because she will take that on. She will live that in her relationships as well, because you don't make that change. You can say this stops with me, So that's one thing. And also the sexuality, as I said, break it if it's possible. Break it as much as you can, because this is what keeps you addicted. This is what keeps you there, because they put this energy in you to pull you closer. And every time you open yourself, he has you again.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So this has been a really eye-opening conversation, and I've loved every minute of it. So for those out there who want to find out more about you and what you do and how you can help them, where can they find you and find more information about that?
Yeah. At this moment, the best way to connect is with my Instagram. It's at Nika.Keilani. And I am changing my website, but for now it's best to do it the Instagram.
Yeah, perfect. And I'll put the links in the show notes anyway, so it'll be in the description of the podcast for anybody that wants to just find you and not worry about spelling or anything like that. But thank you so much for giving us your time, and it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. And I know you feel a lot of shame and guilt and things like that, but I strongly feel after speaking to you and finding out your values and how spiritual you are, that this is the reason that you went through that, because it's put you exactly where you need to be to help other people who are going through the same thing.
Yes, I'm sure. And it's inspired me, actually. I'm creating an app now that will help people to resolve the shame and guilt and anger and this kind of things. So
that's amazing. And I can't wait to see it. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure for me as well. And I really loved also every minute of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I know these conversations aren't always easy to sit with, so we really appreciate you sticking through it. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can join our Discord community at www.haleyryan.co.uk/Discord, and we'll see you next week.